With you guys today, DIJONAI CARRINGTON. After clotheslining Sophie Cunningham, running into the locker room, screaming, "That's white privilege!" Then tweeting 8/23, threatening Sophie Cunningham and the Indiana Fever, DIJONAI CARRINGTON now comes out and clarifies what she means when she says white privilege for the Indiana Fever.
So with 2 minutes left in the first quarter, DIJONAI CARRINGTON just slapped the dog shit out of Sophie Cunningham. Sophie pops up, she's obviously upset. DIJONAI says, "Try me." And then look at Stephanie White. Look at her face. Look. She's mad as shit. Now, number one, this is obviously a flagrant 2. It just is. By the letter of the law, you gotta call a flagrant 2. We all know these.
That girl needs to be thrown out the league. She's not even a good enough player to be bringing this type of drama. She needs to be thrown out.
DIJONAI CARRINGTON was ejected from a game, but instead of simply moving on, she took the controversy straight to social media. Shortly after, she posted just 2 words that instantly set the internet on fire: white privilege. What followed was even more surprising. Days later, Carrington was still defending the post, clarifying what she meant, and pushing back against critics who questioned her message. What started as a post after an ejection has now turned into a full-blown WNBA controversy, and easily one of the most bizarre player reactions of the season.
Cunningham, otherwise known as MAGA Barbie in the WNBA, is a superstar player. She's one of the most famous female athletes in the world because she stood up for women in women's sports, saying only biological women should be allowed to play in the WNBA. And for that, she is literally risking her life. Check this out. This is what happened to Sophie Cunningham last night when she was clotheslined by a filthy, dirty player for Chicago who has a name that I can't pronounce, or maybe I just refuse to do that. That's my right as an American. But this is a player that has attacked Caitlin Clark, gouged her eye out, that has now bloodied the face of Sophie Cunningham, and as soon as she did this, she tweeted white privilege, meaning she's declaring this is a race crime. Now, if a white woman was doing this to black women, it'd be the #1 story in the world, she'd be banned from the league forever. But somehow black women are allowed to get away with this against white women. And it's white women in the league who make themselves a target by simply standing up for traditional values and common sense.
Sophie Cunningham has spent this season as one of the most outspoken defenders of her Fever teammate Caitlin Clark. She has repeatedly gone on record criticizing the league and officials for what she believes is a lack of protection for Clark amid the intense physical play she faces. Cunningham hasn't been afraid to call out specific incidents or players, and she has even claimed that some teams have discussed in their locker rooms wanting to show Clark what the W really is. That kind of outspoken stance is bound to create tension around the league, and Cunningham has never pretended she doesn't know exactly what comes with speaking her mind.
Goo! That's assault, brother. You can't do that. What the fuck? Is this just the default if you can't think? Or if you just like don't want to take accountability for your actions? Oh my god, this league, bro, this league. Oh, white privilege while you're wearing a bleach blonde dyed wig. I mean, the fuck? What is privileged about that? You Stone Cold Steve Austin clotheslined her ass. What about that is white privilege? The WNBA stays undefeated. It truly does. They can't get out of their own way.
That history is important because it helps explain why so many viewers looked at this particular foul and immediately wondered whether there was more to the moment than a routine hard basketball play. Cunningham has already established herself as one of the players willing to speak publicly about how Clark is treated on the court. Now, she was on the receiving end of a forearm to the face that left her bleeding, adding another layer to an already heated situation. Whether Carrington intended anything beyond the play itself is impossible to know from the incident alone, but the optics became a major talking point the moment the ejection happened. At this stage, the conversation has clearly moved far beyond the original basketball play, and that's where things start getting seriously complicated.
Beyond concerning at this point how far from the plot we have actually gotten. And when I say the plot, I mean the basketball. How far from the game of basketball we have spiraled. When we're talking about the WNBA, you know, we used to joke, it's like, oh, 0 days without drama in the WNBA. This league is living up to it at a rate and a level of concern that we haven't ever had. with all the discussion.
Craziness going on in the WNBA. DIJONai Carrington tweeted out white privilege from the locker room of a game that she was playing in. Get this, she fouled Sophie Cunningham hard. Sophie Cunningham, obviously a white person, fouled her hard. Flagrant 2, gets ejected, goes to the locker room and tweets out white privilege in the middle of the game. Now here's the kicker to me. A flagrant 2 has to be contact that can lead to an injury that looks excessive. DIJONai, it was about as excessive as possible. If there was any evidence of there being white privilege, this was not it. What the hell do y'all think?
And Cunningham isn't the only person who has noticed the growing tension. Earlier this year, legendary broadcaster Dick Vitale weighed in after Caitlin Clark ranked only 9th among guards in a league-wide player poll, calling the result a sign of pure jealousy and arguing that players across the league would eventually recognize just how much Clark has contributed to the sport financially. Those comments took on a different tone once the Carrington incident became a major talking point. Suddenly, another situation involving a player closely connected to Clark and Cunningham was dominating the conversation after a physical on-court incident. Instead of everyone reacting the same way, the aftermath produced a wide range of responses, including criticism, support, and comments that many fans viewed as dismissive. Whether that proves Vitale's theory is impossible to say, but the repeated controversy has certainly fueled the debate.
Right across the face, coming down, trying to prevent the layup, but that is just a hard hit. That's definitely going to be upgraded, I think, to a flagrant 2, Ryan.
I think that is going to be a flagrant 2. There is
Get what you fucking deserve.
And just getting her out of the
Lucky
way.
it wasn't a right hook.
Make no mistake about it, Carrington targeted Cunningham. She targeted her because of her political stances. She targeted Cunningham because of the praises that she keeps receiving. She targeted her with a dirty shot that had absolutely nothing to do with basketball. And then after getting ejected, she runs to the locker room to play the fucking victim card. Like she didn't try to just take off Cunningham's head in 4K. Like we all didn't just watch it happen. That is not competition. That is a grown woman swinging on someone who she disagrees with and then screaming racism when she gets held accountable for it. DIJONai Carrington needs to be held responsible, and I'm not talking about just getting ejected from the game. She deserves a suspension. Maybe she'll think twice next time before she tries to take somebody's fucking head off.
Here's what happened on the court. The play itself becomes pretty straightforward once you watch it back. Sophie Cunningham was sprinting down the floor on a fast break with a clear path to the basket, seemingly headed for an easy layup. DIJONai Carrington chased from behind, and as Cunningham went up, Carrington made contact with her upper body, including the face and neck area, sending Cunningham hard to the floor. The shot still went in, but the basket quickly became an afterthought. Officials stopped the game, reviewed the contact, and upgraded the foul to a flagrant 2, resulting in Carrington's automatic ejection under the league's rules. Whatever the intent may have been, the contact was serious enough for officials to determine that it warranted the highest level of foul available in that situation, and that decision immediately became the center of the controversy.
The way Sophie Cunningham came down on her leg, she could have been injured. So they said, yo, get out of here, dog. Get out of here. Then, I don't know if y'all were looking at her lips. She was talking about, try me. Yo, you already tried Sophie? You got all the samples of Sophie. You talking about try me. What are you talking about? This lady is unhinged right now, man. This is crazy work. And it makes you wonder. It's like, dog, you were the best player for the Sky at this moment. Look how she landed on the leg. Oh my goodness. Like, you were the best player for the Sky, and you decided to do this? You weren't even thinking about the game. You was thinking about some kind of revenge or something. Somebody sent you on a mission. You were on a mission, dog. I don't know what you had going on here, but DIJONai, this is unacceptable. Disrespectful, disgusting, and I'm glad they got you up out of there. All right,
Cunningham got back to her feet quickly, and her frustration was obvious. She immediately confronted Carrington before teammates and officials stepped in to separate them and prevent the situation from escalating. But there's another detail from the aftermath that deserves attention. According to the officiating crew chief's post-game explanation, Cunningham was not penalized for her reaction because officials considered it an understandable response to the severity of the contact. In other words, the referees themselves acknowledged that the play was serious enough to warrant a strong emotional reaction. That detail only added another layer to an already heated incident and gave fans even more reason to debate what happened next.
Photo from the flagrant 2 on DIJONai Carrington against Sophie Cunningham, where she proceeded to go into the locker room and tweet white privilege after being thrown out of the game. I'm not going to comment on that situation, but I will say this. This is a flagrant 2. Black, white, Asian, Hispanic, don't matter. This is a flagrant. I mean, she clotheslined her. What more do you want? So, this looks very bad. It just shows that the WNBA is nowhere near where they need to be professionally. Because again, this is a clothesline. It's a flagrant 2.
That's what makes the comments that followed so difficult for many fans to reconcile with what happened on the court. The officials reviewed the play and determined that the contact warranted a flagrant 2, while the crew chief later indicated that Cunningham's reaction was understandable given the severity of the hit. From that perspective, the foul was evaluated based on the nature of the contact, not the identity of either player. The decision came down to what officials saw on the play: significant contact involving the head and neck area while Cunningham was attempting a shot. And that standard is supposed to apply equally to every player in the league, regardless of background or identity.
Mention the fact that she said white privilege. That is the story. The story isn't that she got kicked out. It's that she tweeted out white privilege as though because Sophie Cunningham is white, somehow that's why she got kicked out. They go on to defend her, the story, the narrative that she's not a dirty player. She makes plays like this all the time. I put together a little clip of DIJONai Carrington, who is definitely one of the dirtiest players in the WNBA. I don't know if we can roll it, but she's taken her long fingernails. She's scratched Caitlin Clark's eyes out. She's had multiple instances of chasing people down from behind, trying the same SWAT and smashing them in the head and causing mini fights. She pulled another girl's hair. I don't know if we'll get to that clip in a second when she's falling. Totally dirty play. This is not a skin color thing. She has a history of making dirty plays, and it's fine. The NBA, you can be a rough and tumble league. Now, where this thing gets absolutely bananas is when you start making it into a race and culture war, and the people talking about it are not mentioning 99% of the time that she went back and tweeted white privilege. White privilege how?
You are paying attention to what DIJONai Carrington did to Sophie Cunningham. It was not a race-based decision. And to call that a white privilege-based foul is to completely undermine the term of white privilege and to also completely ignore the rules in basketball. You hit her in the head, you drew blood, you didn't connect with the ball at all whatsoever. So to me, it was just very ignorant and to some degree asinine by DIJONai Carrington to suggest that that call was based on white privilege. Have we seen examples of white players make that same foul and get away with it? Yes. Have we seen examples of black players make that same foul and get away with it? Yes. There was no white privilege involved in that specific call. DIJONai, you hit her in the head and you drew blood. It was a flagrant